Memory lane never sounded so good. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 SNES soundtracks. For this list, we're looking at the soundtracks that really pushed their systems to the limits, the ones that achieved a richness that went beyond our expectations of a 16-bit console and are still talked about today. We're only considering soundtracks that got an official Western release, so as fantastic as Secret of Mana 2's soundtrack was, it'll have to sit this one out. Number 10, Super Mario World. Our favorite plumber's first original adventure on the SNES came jam-packed with yet another iconic soundtrack in the Mario games. Mario's jaunt through Dinosaur Land to rescue the princess is kept upbeat and energetic with Koji Kondo's classic songs, with some of these tracks still popping up today in the latest Mario games. This was also the first game to star Yoshi, and the wicked percussion track that plays whenever Mario hops on his back for a ride is sure to pump up just about any player. Shout out as well to Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, which continued the trend of A+ Mario music. Number 9, Castlevania Dracula X. Originally released as Castlevania Rondo of Blood for the PC Engine, this somewhat obscure NES port is a bit of a black sheep in the Castlevania series, but those who played it will remember the soundtrack. Not only were there remixes of classic Castlevania tunes, but a few new additions as well that went on to be classics in their own right. Whether you want haunting and eerie or upbeat and energetic, Dracula X's team of composers put together a soundtrack that keeps your run through Dracula's castle lively, despite, all the undead. Number 8, Secret of Mana. When an RPG invites you to spend hours upon hours of your time in its world, you gotta expect some fantastic music to help the adventure along. After all, killing hundreds of Rabbites for that sweet level up can get old pretty quickly, but thankfully, Hiroki Kikuta's masterful soundtrack does the job. It's as mystical and atmospheric as the world of Mana itself, but knows when to crank up the speed for the game's many high-tension boss battles. Whatever Kikuta's secret is, we're sure glad he shared it with the Secret of Mana. Number 7, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. What is it with Nintendo and making great soundtracks that stick with you forever? Koji Kondo got to flex his skills in a new, more serious way with the dramatic soundtrack of A Link to the Past, breathing all new life into Hyrule. Some of our favorites from the entire series originated in this game cartridge: Zelda's Lullaby, The Fairy Fountain, Kakariko Village, so many classics. This is a soundtrack that needs no link to the past, since it still stands the test of time today. Number 6, Mega Man X. Capcom decided to rock out with this iconic soundtrack for one of the best Mega Man games in the series. In typical Mega Man tradition, each of the boss stages has a personalized track that carries you through a long series of robotic enemies and traps, but good luck picking a favorite. Each track is heavily rock influenced, making for intense, non-stop excitement as you blast away. Fan favorites include the iconic Storm Eagle song and the heavy Sigma Stage 1, but there are so many other gems to enjoy. Number 5, F-Zero. If F-Zero is to be believed, by the year 2560 we can look forward to flying race cars, intergalactic networks, and thankfully some really awesome music. This futuristic racer that set the standard for all racing games was known for its solid gameplay, but it was also light years ahead when it came to its music. It's a quick listen, but a great one. Iconic tracks like Mute City and Big Blue came from here, and added a whole lot to the already epic racetracks of the F-Zero tournament. Those 5 laps just flew by thanks to Yomiko Kanki and Naoto Ishida's stellar soundtrack. Number 4, Final Fantasy III, aka Final Fantasy VI. Whatever name it goes by, when people talk about the music in this game, you know they're talking about a whole new level of musical craftsmanship. We're talking 20-minute final battle themes, character themes for a game's huge cast of 14, and a whole friggin' opera squeezed through your TV speakers with simulated vocals. Nobuo Uematsu was not screwing around with this soundtrack, and it's still considered one of his greatest masterpieces today. Number 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. From its awesome 16-bit rendition of the famous TMNT theme song to the toe-tapping sewer surfin', Turtles in Time brought a whole lot of rock and roll to its soundtrack. There's no doubt that some of these tracks could have fit right into the Saturday morning cartoon. They're just overflowing with the kind of 90s radness that the Turtles embodied. Be prepared to have this soundtrack stuck in your head for a long, long time. Number 2, Chrono Trigger. Speaking of time travel, here's one of the most timeless soundtracks in video game history. This RPG epic takes us from the prehistoric era to the bleak, dystopian future, and it has a unique, memorable track for every single moment. The somber and mysterious 600 AD theme, the Rick Astley-inspired Robos theme, the mystical and ambient corridors of time. There are literally way too many classics to list, and they're all fantastic. If only we could travel back to 1995 to experience it all for the first time yet again. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Number 1, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. Who could have guessed that the two young monkeys' quest to rescue their banana-crazy friend from a pirate crocodile would end up having one of the best damn soundtracks ever? Barreling into our #1 spot is David Wise's finest work. An easy pick for anyone who's played this monstrous game that pushed the SNES to all of its limits, surpassing the awesome music of its predecessor, which already had an awesome compilation to begin with. The premise of the game might be cartoony, but the soundtrack has some of the most poignant, atmospheric music you'll ever hear, as anyone who's ever shed a tear to Sticker Brush Symphony can attest to. Do you agree with our list? What other soundtracks are still stuck in your head 2 decades later? For more awesome top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.